Who's happy to post don't mean who's happy the most, because when things go south, y'all be happy to ghost. When you make a wrong move, they be happy to roast. But be careful when you win, who's not happy to toast. That's a story of a lot of celebrities, but you're about to hear them in person. I am VJ Adams, and this is Off the Top. He's an actor, a producer, a family man, and one of the most impactful, hardworking people in the entertainment space in Africa. On this episode of Off the Top, I hang out with my buddy, and together we uncover what goes on behind the scenes in this actor's life.
Yo, my nigga V.
What you say, cuz?
What's up, baby? What's going on?
Good to see you, my man.
Same here, man.
Been a long time.
I know.
I see, first, before we get seated, choose your poison. Choose the one I'm going to destroy you. Which one? What was your preference?
Oh, that you're going to destroy me.
Which one am I? I think you're leaning towards table tennis.
Yeah, I mess with that.
Okay.
I mess with that. I let my son destroy you on that one.
on the FIFA.
On the P4.
Oh boy. Nino. You know, I genuinely know that they're part of you that a lot of people don't know. First, you were a banker.
A long time ago.
A long time.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, banker. Why did you leave banking though?
Well, self-discovery. Banking it was one of the things I just had to do when I first came back to Nigeria.
But no, you did it in the States as well.
Oh, yes, in the States, yes. Well, that goes with going to school and then,
Gotcha.
trying to pursue a career, but I was never really fulfilled with that.
I can imagine. Boy, you even started filmmaking as a producer.
Yes, and I failed at that. In the beginning, man, I failed too many times in my life, man. But see, what you didn't know is I was failing forward.
I love it. And also, you also did music from an executive producer standpoint.
Absolutely, I used to run a record label called Diesel Music. I failed at that too. So yeah, I failed.
But you keep failing forward though.
I keep failing forward. Now I'm here though.
Let's go.
With the V.
Let's go. Let's go. That's pretty good. Come on. And filmmaking, you needed to be very strategic on how you navigated the waters.
Yeah. Well, I never knew anything about the game when I came in, but I wasn't gonna let that stop me.
I see.
You never build any confidence stopping. You just have to
Keep going.
keep going, and then you build the confidence while you keep going.
There's a lot to unpack. Let me see if you would. Okay, let's stop there.
Oh, right.
Because I won. I mean, that's against you.
Boy, please.
Let's get you started off. Let's go sit. Let's go sit.
Sure.
So much to unpack. So much to unpack, because you've seen different perspectives to a lot of things. You start from filmmaking, you've seen it from a behind the scenes perspective,
right,
as a producer, before becoming an actor, getting famous, and now going back as a producer. And by the way, congratulations with the success of the series with the girls.
Thank you.
That's so good. And to think that had happened before. Tell me about that story. The first time you encountered the little girls, and now they're grown, working with them and all that stuff.
Well, that was about 7 years ago. I remember the oldest one was 7, and then the other one was 6 and 5. We shot a series called My Kids and I.
Right.
So I just wanted to do something for the girl dad. I feel like as men, we don't get enough credit, for all we do in our involvements in our children's lives. So I wanted to play something where I was a widower, and just being a man taking care of his 3 kids.
Amazing stuff.
So we did that 7 years ago, and it was a huge success. And 7 years later, they had grown up into to be teenagers, and I was like, "Yo, why not just come back together and
Do it.
give the world something more?" And we're still on that right now.
That's pretty exciting. But also, what's exciting is when I saw last year your extraction. Your extraction. That was so good. I'm like, Nino B, the extraction. What are you talking about? You're filming an essay.
Yeah.
How first did they call managers? Did they email the managers? What was the excitement like?
Well, it was. I wasn't particularly in the Extraction movie. So what had happened was they wanted to promote
The rollout
the
campaign.
Extraction 2 in Africa and make it one of the biggest action flicks, in our space. And they figured, Nino was the go-to guy to make it happen.
Let's go.
So we shot a documentary, called Distraction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was shot so beautifully well in SA, and it was a huge success.
No, it was.
The whole world thought I was in Extraction, but hey, look out for Extraction 3. Something might
Anything can happen, you know what I'm saying?
It was a step in the right direction, you know what I mean? But like I said, it was a success.
It was a success indeed. Tell me, the last time, when was the last time you did a household chore? What was the last time you did? Did you sweep? Did you? Because I know you pay people to do these things, so.
Well, that would be today. I still laid my bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like a ritual? You do that yourself, or when you have the time you can?
Well, I get to do it myself.
Okay.
A lot because I stay alone by myself here in Nigeria while my family is abroad. So I get to do these things myself sometimes.
Having to live alone in Nigeria, obviously grinding, working because you're constantly filming. And by the way, I told the crew, I said if you give Nino 11:50, he'll probably call me. He's at the parking lot. That's how certain. That's how I said. I'm sure you're always on time. But having to live alone, do you miss them? I mean, I'm sure you do.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. But it's the grind. It's it's the life that I chose. You know what I mean? And I've always been on the grind. It's not easy. I remember I had an interview one time, and somebody asked the interviewer asked me, "What is it that the grind has taken from me?" And the first thing that came to my mind was time with family. It's taking me away from my family. And but I'm not the only one. And I still have to be grateful for what I got.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I thank God for it, and I thank God for the beautiful family that I got.
What is food to you? What do you eat? What's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh, that's eba. I love eba, man. Eba and efo.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. Or eba nila. I'm a big fan of eba. I have to eat eba at least once a day.
Got you. Oh.
Every day, man.
Do you rather fish, beef?
Beef. Fried beef. Yeah.
Fried beef is your go-to.
Yeah, that's my thing.
But I know you work out a lot as well. Has it always been a thing to work out, healthy lifestyle?
Oh yeah, I mean, growing up in America, I grew up in Chicago, and it's a lifestyle. Even from our school days, there are gyms at the school. When we're on break, we'll get to work out, and most employers even have gyms in their offices. So it's a lifestyle for us, and I just have to have it. I mean, I don't work out as much as I used to,
right?
Because I'm older now. I'm 44.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But I do the
little I can. You do what you can do.
I try to stay in shape.
What was the cultural shock for you? Because you've obviously lived here, lived there, then moved back here.
Yeah.
But your formative years was more in the States.
Absolutely.
What was the culture shock now moving back to Nigeria to settle and grind?
Structure. I mean, in America, there's structure. Over here, you build your own structure, man. Your own structure. You just got to grind. You know what I'm saying? There are no rules to the game here. You know what I'm saying? But you just got to be up and about. That's Nigeria for you. You can't slack.
I know.
Over there in America, I mean, you do your 9 to 5. Your paycheck is always going to be the same. And you can literally structure everything you do. Like if I was making $1,000 a week, I can literally spend just $300 a week doing the same thing because I know how much my gas is going to be. I know how much I'm going to spend at the grocery store.
Got you.
If I'm not out there trying to VJ up, then rocking all the
my brother says
and all that.
VJ up.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm cutting my, my coat according to my size, But over here it's different, man. Like fuel could be 1,000 today, tomorrow it could be 2,000 naira, and can't nobody do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We still survive.
Work has taken you to many places, obviously. You've traveled. But living in the States, living in Nigeria, if there's a third country you could choose as home, where would you be?
A third country, probably Dubai.
Ah.
Yeah, probably Dubai. I like Dubai.
What is it about Dubai you love? I mean, generally, I've been to Dubai as well. I think I like how it just feels different, you know.
Yeah.
But what is it for you in Dubai?
I don't know. I think it's just that difference. It's a beautiful place, and there's just something about Dubai. It just has its own, you know, uniqueness to it. And I don't know. Dubai is just what it is.
Being a father,
Yeah.
and because I know it's a hard job, not even just from a financial standpoint, looking after kids, but just being able to shape their thoughts, morality, guidance, and all of that stuff. Do you think you're a strict father?
Well, I think there are certain things that I imbibed from my parents growing up. And there's been a lot of adjustment and reality checks because life is different now. This generation is totally different. But now, I feel like what has happened to me is I'm much more of a learner now.
Right.
I learn from my kids because my daughter is 18 and my son is 16, you know what I'm saying? So I had to learn to be their friends.
Right.
When I was growing up, my dad wasn't my friend. That was my dad. That's my parent. And that's, you know, that's the kind of relationship we had when we were growing up is your dad is your dad. It's like you scare your dad, you respect and you fear your parents. But with my kids, you know, you can't have that because it's a different world. You know, you just have to be their friends and learn from them. And to manage them, they need to be safe with you. And in being safe with you, that means they can communicate with you. And, you know, from a friendly standpoint, I mean, I'm still a parent.
Yeah, so how do you strike the balance? Because I think that's a tough part.
Yeah.
Where, let's say they do something wrong, do you scold them or you still pass the message, maybe just in a different way? How do you do it?
Well, it's just the approach now.
Right.
Like, there ain't no manual to this thing, you know, but with humility and grace, you know what I'm saying, you could navigate it. You know, I've had situations where, you know, my daughter especially, you know, has said certain things to me like, you know, like, can't nobody talk to you, Dad, you know, it's always your way, this and that. And I'm looking at her like, you know what I mean? But what I understood as being raised and being brought up by my parents is not the way they say it. They see it as you being controlling or you're what's the word I'm looking for? They just don't, they don't vibe that way, you know? And like I said, with humility and grace, you need to check yourself or you will lose them. You know what I'm saying? These are Gen Zs too, you know what I'm saying? So it's a different ballgame, man. I tend to like, rather than impose, I advise now. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. I remember one day my daughter woke me up and she was like, Dad, I want to get a tongue ring. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? I could never even say something like that to my dad. I couldn't even tell my dad I wanted to grow a beard. You know what I'm saying? So I took a moment and I said, yo, Aaliyah, a tongue ring? I wouldn't want to kiss a girl with a tongue ring.
Oh, I see. That's
you know what I mean? And she's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, but, I mean, think about something else. You know what I mean? And she was like, okay, I'll think about it.
That's a smart angle.
Exactly. So,
that's a very
because
smart
I
angle.
know, like, this is what her friends and her peers are doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to tell her different when she goes to school and sees that, okay, 4 out of every 5 or 6
girls have
tongue rings or whatever, or tattoos or whatever. So she came back and she was like, yo, Dad, okay, so I now know what I want. I said, what is it? She said, I could get a belly button ring or whatever. I said, now that's more like it because you could take it out.
When you want it.
When you want it, you know? So like, cool. And I'm like, okay, make an appointment so we can go.
Oh, being present as well, being there.
Yeah, so I took her there myself. I paid for it, you know, and brought her home. And she showed her mom and she was like, I got my belly ring. You know, as much as
You would rather not, but
I rather
that
not,
was
but you know that was an opportunity for me to connect and let her know that I'm always here to advise you and at least get some kind of input from me before you do what you got to do. Because you also got to understand, this was when she was 17. Now she's 18. She doesn't have to ask me anymore. She's an adult now in America. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about that? Because being an adult in America means the progression would be perhaps maybe boyfriends getting married, living alone, and it's a complete conversation going forward now.
I know. First, I pray a lot. You gotta pray, man. Put God first, and I try as much as I can to just communicate, man. I pray and I communicate, and I make sure I have I have that window where they can communicate and tell me anything. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be their friends. Because rightfully at this stage, she doesn't have to ask me anything anymore. But that also that goes back to the foundation though. Like before she became an adult, what was the relationship like?
True.
You know what I mean? So
True. I was going to ask you about training a male child. We'll get into that after this. Don't move.
Sure.
Welcome back to the show. This is Off the Top. I am VJ Adams. I'm chopping it up with my friend, my brother, who's an actor, producer, father, mentor to a lot of people, author as well, amongst many other things. And we're still dancing around family and just being how you've been able to at least stabilize your standpoint from work and also being a family man, being a father. And I was just going to ask you, training a female, is it different from training a male child in terms of responsibility of being a man? I mean, what is the dynamics for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I have both. So first, admit a child is a child. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm a bit much more lenient with my daughter
Than your son?
Yeah, because girls are much more emotional. My son is pretty wise. He understands.
Got you.
He looks up to me a lot.
Got you.
But my daughter, that's a girl. She wants to be pampered, and it's a different ball game with them. But this is, like I said, there ain't no manual to this thing. When you find yourself in it, you just gotta find a way to navigate and make it work. And as you go day by day, you just realize that, okay, that day is past. And I remember their 1-year birthday now. My son is 16, my daughter is 18. I don't know how I've done it. I thank God for grace. And, and shout out to their mom as well, because she's done an amazing job as well.
I know.
You know what I mean? So it's a collaborative effort.
I know. I was going to ask you next, how do you manage, because you being a father, that's one relationship.
Yeah.
Having the mother, a different relationship for a family unit. Right. How do you manage that other part of it, the relationship with their mom?
It's crazy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But it's all love. Love. It's all about love at the end of the day, because I remember there was a day I asked myself if I could date myself.
Can you?
I don't think I could.
What would be the things you wouldn't like about yourself?
I'm a zero tolerance person. Like I have zero tolerance for tardiness. I don't do excuses. I just go. And sometimes that might not be too good, because sometimes you need a break, and So, but I guess sometimes I expect what I see in myself in other people.
In other people, right?
You know what I'm saying? Forgetting that we're all
different,
uniquely different. So that part of myself I've learned from, and I keep learning and getting to understand that everybody has to be respected and understood, and everybody has their own gifts. But the things that I put myself through, I can't see myself putting any other person through it, because I know what I have to do to grind. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the gym by 4:30. You know what I mean? And I'm on set by 7, 8. This is my life. This is what I've chosen to do. But I need to understand that other people probably haven't chosen that. That doesn't mean they're not going through their own issues or whatever. But I realize that I always expect a lot of myself in other people, because the rules. These are the rules that I know that you want to be successful, you got to do the work. You got to get up. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that extra. You know, if you want to make a difference in the world, you have to be different from the world. You know, you have to be extraordinary.
Sure.
But then not everybody is built that way. And to be built that way is grace. It takes a lot of grace and humility. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And that discipline and principle you carried on to work, because it shows in your work ethics, in, you know, being on time. Because for me, one of the problems I have personally with a lot of people is being on time. Like, if I say 10, I'm ready. Like, I need everyone else to be ready as well. I kind of have that.
I feel like, you know, the highest level of humility and respect is time. You know what I'm saying? I'll choose the guy that gives me a 10 o'clock appointment that's there at 9:45 to a guy who comes in at 10:05, prostrating and respecting me and greeting me like Egbon and all that. That's not respected me, because time is everything. Talent hasn't made me who I am. Time has made me who I am. If I had missed the time that I was supposed to be here and I wasn't here, I couldn't be who I am. But I'll tell you what though, I have never seen a person who's gotten a 8 a.m. appointment at the American Embassy miss their time.
So when anyone is wasting your time, it almost feels deliberate.
Exactly. So if it's that important to you, you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? If you were supposed to go to the American Embassy to get a visa at 7 a.m., dude, you'll be there from 5 because that's important to you. But a bunch of people are built with excuses. I don't do excuses, man. And that's why I don't vibe with so many people. I don't have so many friends, because I'm a strict person, man. And I don't do double standards. The way I treat myself is the way I treat you. Like, it doesn't flow with me, man. You gotta be on time.
You gotta be on time.
Time is everything.
You gotta be on time. Time is everything. Let's talk about, there's a conversation I've seen on social media a number of times, and my perspective to it, I'll share it with you, but I wanna get your take on it. Sure. The conversation around not inheriting people's enemies. I genuinely think if someone is supposed to be close to you and have access to certain things about you, they can't be hanging around the enemies. What is your take?
For me, you know, the way I've been able to mitigate that is not even have friends at all.
At least you don't have any information about me.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm a very transparent person. You know what I'm saying? I control my narrative. You're not gonna find out anything about me that I haven't put out myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but not to digress from that, it's a lot. I feel like you need to know people individually.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't make an enemy because you're an enemy of somebody. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't get myself so close to you where I have to take your battles.
Enemies, yeah, fight your battles with you, got you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm fighting a lot of my demons already. I don't need to take nobody else's with me. You understand what I'm saying? So I just feel like those are all mediocrities. You know what I'm saying? People are just being human. You know, to be a superhuman is a different thing. You have to have different rules and values and norms, you know what I'm saying, and standards to the way you live.
True.
And that's not just easy to do.
Starting as an actor,
Yeah.
you started first as a producer,
Yeah.
but in those early stages, did you go to auditions?
No. Well, when my dream when I was in America is I a bunch of my friends and colleagues and peers wanted to pursue the American dream, but I said I wanted the African dream. You know, I felt like Africa is where to be. Like, I want to be somebody in Africa. I want to be known in Africa. You know, I want to make it here. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that was a goal and that it had to happen. As long as I wasn't going to do anything illegal or unethical, you know what I mean? So coming down to Nigeria, you know, and not even knowing what to do, I figured one of the things I love to do is movies. Like, you know, when I was in America, I would do stage plays with friends and stuff like that, and I would see myself being an actor, you know. And I remember sometimes I would do monologues and stuff like that and just play with them. So when I got here, you know, not knowing nobody, I figured, hey, when you have money in Nigeria, you can pretty much access anything you want. You know, just put a crew together and get some actors. I mean, it's all about their pay, right? So I did that and spent quite some, you know, substantial amount of money on the movie, which flopped heavily. welcome to the beginning of my world, you know. So that happened, and like I just wasn't gonna quit. The only reason I'm who I am today is because I never quit, not because I didn't have challenges, but I just always got back up. Like, that's not gonna be the end of me, man. Like, I'm gonna keep going, So that didn't work out, and then I still had some cash, and I figured, okay, why not float a record label?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because Nigeria is a land of opportunity, and it's a virgin land, and it was development at the time. Music was booming and everything. Shout out to the Don Jazzes and the Band, with all the inspiration they gave out there. So we floated a record label. I got 2 or 3 artists, he put some money on that. That went down the drain as well.
Wow.
But I call it payment for experience and knowledge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the knowledge that I gained, I tell people when I came to Nollywood, the secrets of my success are buried in my failures. You know what I'm saying? So all the lessons and all the things that I needed to know and how to deal, I learned that from my failures, you know what I'm saying? And I applied it, with being diligent and with, and doing all I had to do. And today I'm here.
What a journey, because I think for a lot of people, they get the journey started, but the willpower to keep it going is where people fall short. So what would you say kept you going? Because spending money starting a movie doesn't work out. You try music, it doesn't work out. At what point did you decide you were going to be talent and move like talent, be an actor?
Well, it was in the darkest moments of my life. You know what I'm saying? When you fall flat on your face, man, your back is against the wall, man. That's where you get the biggest opportunities to discover yourself. You know what I'm saying? You could either quit or get back up, and if you want it that bad, you're gonna find a way to get it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I think humility did it for me.
Can you remember your first movie? First time you worked on another set that wasn't yours, that you didn't.
Yeah, that had to be Rookie Sanders' film.
And she's your cousin.
She's my cousin. So I remember sending her a message and saying, look, I need help. That was the key word. I need help. You gotta be humble. I need help. And the help is I need to get a role. And I figured if I get a role, I'll put in my best and probably meet people and,
go from there.
And that's exactly what happened. So time and chance happened. I didn't miss that time. And thanks to Rookie and thanks to everybody that's helped me in the game, because they all played a part.
Absolutely all did play a part in what we currently know as Nino B.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're not working?
Solitude. I enjoy my solitude a lot.
So do you consider yourself an introvert?
Well, I grew up as an extrovert, but I remember posting something on my page a couple of days ago. I said, the older and wiser you get, the quieter you become. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the guy that was 24 anymore or 34. I'm 44 now. So things are different. Goals are different. You know what I'm saying? Expectations are different. To whom much is given, much is expected. A lot of people could be where I am today, but God has chosen me, and I don't take that for granted at all. So every moment, and I'm very, very wary of, my brand and my name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to keep making a positive, impact, whichever way I can, So I enjoy solitude because I like to learn a lot from myself, from reading as well, and the work itself takes a lot from me.
Yeah, so when the little time you have, you just really want to rest.
Exactly. So the little time I have, I want to talk to my daughter, my son, or just chill and, introspect. Because there's something I do every time on myself, which is my SWOT analysis. My strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The game never goes the way you want it. There are highs and lows and everything in life. You know what I'm saying? So it's always cool and good when the highs are out there, but when the lows come, you got to be prepared for that too. And there's no manual to it. It doesn't tell you when it's coming.
Would you say your experience working in the bank helped you manage your finances better when the real money started to come in as a talent?
I wouldn't say so. I think for me at the bank, I was just trying to survive. I was just
Trying to get by.
trying to get by and just, hey, you're done with school now. Because I have a bachelor's in accounting and a master's in marketing, and I just wanted to do what everybody else was doing, like, finish school and then get a job. But in terms of my finances and stuff, I feel like I'm a family guy. I love family, you know what I'm saying? I love my kids, and 90% of my income goes to spoiling my kids.
Here we go. I still have a lot to say. Off the Top continues after this. Don't move a muscle. Beyond the success of being able to live your dreams and do what you love, because I would say we prayed for days like this, days where you can earn a living from what you absolutely love doing. Beyond all of that, the success that brings, what makes you happy?
Honestly, I feel like, for a long time I thought happiness was outside of who I was. At some point I realized that happiness was inside of me, that I had to make myself happy. I used to feel like, okay, my wife had to make me happy, my kids had to make me happy. But as I grew, I realized that I have to bring the happiness to them. You know what I'm saying? You bring happiness to everything you love. To the job, you bring happiness. To the home, you bring your happiness. It's not nothing external, it's internal. So what I feel makes me happy is being fulfilled with what I'm doing and realizing that my struggles and my hustle is paying off. That itself brings some sort of fulfillment, and in turns makes me happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't really come out, I don't do clubs or events.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you.
So I grew past all that. So, I'm a very serious person.
What would be because I know you don't even throw parties as well. Well, let's say you're gonna throw a party right now. Just hang out with, let's say, 5 people. What do you call it?
You be one of them.
I know. But who else would you just, great energy, just chop it up, maybe have dinner, whatever. Who are you gonna pick up your phone to call to hang out?
Candid Peters is one guy.
Okay. That's good people.
Yeah, definitely my son will be there because
nice.
That's my best friend, and maybe
Dami, no?
my manager.
Okay.
My manager, and then who else? And maybe a cousin of mine who's very cool with me as well. Yeah.
You're not gonna call Dami?
Why?
No, I'm just checking.
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Because you want to protect your energy as well while you're doing that. You want people you're certain about 100% on how they feel about you. Because for me, working in entertainment, that's part of the things you're not certain about. You go out to work, for a lot of times people love who they see on screen. They don't even know who you are beyond that. And you're having to just manage yourself around that till you get back.
Absolutely.
Alone. It's a crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy. That right there is crazy. But I guess the way I've been able to overcome that is try to be as authentic as I can be to myself. Which is why I keep myself, distant from so many things. And because people don't understand that I'm human as well, and I go through these phases of, the ups and downs, highs and lows or whatever. They don't expect you to go through that, but we all do.
Who's your kind of girl? If you see a female, what are the qualities you notice quicker that attracts you?
Honestly, for a long time, I didn't even, a lot of us don't even know ourselves yet. You know what I mean? We haven't discovered ourselves. And some of us will never even get an opportunity to discover ourselves because it comes with a lot of adversities. Self-discovery comes through adversities, and a lot of people don't want to go through adversities. They don't want the pain. You know what I'm saying? So I've been through a lot of pain, and I've been privileged to find myself and know myself, which is still an ongoing process. So the things that mattered to me probably years ago are different from the things that
Right.
matter to me now.
What matter to you now?
Now is I'm much more about the internal beauty now. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that, okay, this is an actually good person. You know what I'm saying? Somebody you can vibe with and who gets to understand you, being compassionate and loving. But most of the thing, you know, from my wounds in life, I always used to look for those things in other people.
Right.
You know, but with self-reflection and understanding, I realized that nobody can give you that. You have to give yourself that. You know what I'm saying? That energy has to come from you. You know, so when you meet people and you're not getting what you deserve in return, then you bounce.
You let it go, but that's a tough decision to make, though. Even in friendship, letting friendships go because people you just thought you loved, or maybe you genuinely loved, but it just doesn't work out. How do you manage dispute resolution? What's your go-to?
Well, the truth is, if it ain't adding up, you have to subtract, man. Sometimes without remorse. Sometimes no closure is the closure.
Wow.
Yeah. You always got to put yourself first. They call it being selfish, but I call it being self-aware. You know what I'm saying? So you live and you learn, and you know as we keep growing, life is a learning process. Till you die, you're just gonna keep learning, or you're just gonna keep making the same mistakes. And learning is about learning about yourself and knowing about yourself. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, if you're not adding value, then you're taking value from me. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not adding up, you subtract.
What do you do when you're angry? Do you zone into yourself? And because I feel like anyone who's aware of how much destruction they can cause are a little quiet when they're upset. What do you do when you're upset?
Well, I try not to. I don't remember the last time I got upset, really. You know, I have trained myself over the years, you know, to understand that. And I would not allow anybody to get me to that point where I have to destroy anything or get that angry. This thing comes with growth and self-discipline at the same time, you know. So you don't have the power or the control to make me angry if I don't allow you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the goal is to take back your power and make sure that until I give you that permission,
It's not gonna happen.
it's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not messing with my bread or my family, then it's not that important. You know what I'm saying? So rather, I feel like just keep creating value. Work hard and create value, because people that have value are always needed. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is.
Having lived for, 44 years, roller coaster ride, career, and all of that stuff. When you zone in and you're alone, and do you ever think of death and what happens when that time comes, whether or not it's in another 50 or 70 years, whatever?
Well, it has happened a couple of times in the past, but the result of that, or what I derive from that, is just to be grateful. You know what I'm saying? And the only way to be grateful is to be grateful and become much more grateful, because there's always something to be grateful for. But events happen every time. You know, I'm a very emotional person, and I see things happen, and it just puts me in check to find ways to thank God for my life and the
When
things
last
that I
did you
have.
cry?
I don't remember. but I am quite emotional. I mean, people don't know that part of me, really. But yeah, man, you gotta.
What gets you there? What gets you to be emotional? Because me, having my mom pray for me, I could burst into tears, to be honest. Because I think it's a rare privilege.
Yes.
If you can still experience that. What gets you in that place where a tear might drop?
Pain. Seeing people go through pain.
Oh, got you.
You know what I'm saying? Seeing people go through pain alone You know, I see situations happen, and I always feel like, man, this could have been me. You know, I'm privileged, and I think I take nothing for granted, man. You know, I remember somebody asking me one time, saying, what was my greatest fear? And I couldn't remember a fear at the time. Like, I fear really nothing, man. And I was like, oh, wait, hold that thought. My greatest fear is to lose God's grace. You know, because for me, there are no entitlements. Everything is a privilege. Everything is a privilege.
What's your favorite part of a chicken?
Has to be the thigh. The thigh or the arm. That's where the meat is.
The thighs, indeed. If I could give you a shot to ask me a question, what would you ask me? This is your chance to be VJ Nino.
Oh, yeah, man.
Be VJ Nino for a split minute. What will you ask me?
Well, I mean, I've known you for a little while. I've seen you evolve. And, you know, people have seen you go from one stage to another, one event to another, and it seems constant. Like, that's VJ Adams. But behind VJ Adams, there's a boy, there's a child.
That's right.
Who goes through so many things, who has to adjust and evolve as well. And that evolution comes with a lot of pain.
A lot of it, actually.
A lot of pain, you know what I'm saying? And that's what people don't see at all. So what I will ask is, how have you been able to evolve, you know, in spite of the pain and, you know, and everything that comes with that?
How I've been able to evolve in spite of the pain? I think by virtue of how I was brought up, I'm very focused. So, like, I have a goal. I know where I'm headed. So, regardless of the pain that gives you some distractions, some downtime, some slow times, I know exactly where I'm headed, and my joy is to see through. I like to see things through. Like, if I want to do a project, I want to see it through. No matter what is in the way, I really don't care. I just want to make sure it does happen. So I think just that laser focus, it gets me through it.
Very key. Very key.
I mean, everyone talks about the relationship with God, and I think it's just very standard, like, to have that, because Ayewa.
Ben.
we know for a fact that Ayewa for real, you know. So just keeping a relationship with God is standard. But I don't speak about that as often because I like people to pay attention to other things like being principled, being on time. Don't take people's time for granted, and you know, those other little things that people don't pay attention to.
Right.
You know. So yeah, and I'm just grateful that we genuinely deep down, I don't wish anyone bad. So I know that I'll get through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you get back what you put into the universe.
Absolutely. That energy, it gives me confidence.
Absolutely.
I'll be good. No matter what happens, I'll be good. Thank you so much for your time. I know you had to race from a set to be here, and you know, you have to get back to work, but it's just a rare privilege and great honor to be able to chop it up with you anytime we're able to talk. And even beyond cameras, just when we speak over the phone, it's just always great energy to stay positive in spite of everything that happens.
Absolutely.
You're 44 now. Let's say it's middle year. You know, what do you want for the rest of the year?
Wow, for the rest of the year, I just want to make more money. You know what I'm saying? Make more money.
You know, you love money, but I can understand. Yeah.
Well, you know, for me, my goal in life, when people ask me, what is your goal? I just want to achieve 3 things. And, you know, I feel like day by day, you know, through the struggles, you know, and overcoming so many things, you know, I get closer and closer to it. My only goals is financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. You know what I'm saying? That's just all I want. You know, I don't want the biggest things in life, you know what I'm saying? But just having that freedom, you know, and it takes everything to get to that stage.
It does.
It takes everything, you know.
It absolutely does.
So that's just what it is.
Financial freedom, time freedom, what's the last one?
Location freedom.
Location freedom. I love it. And on that note, we call it a wrap. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
for
you
being
for having
here.
me, man.
I know we'll definitely still chop things up
Absolutely.
much later over phone calls, and just great
sure.
to always have you. Good to always have you.
Sure.
Nino B, ladies and gentlemen, off the top, I am VJ Adams. Catch another exciting episode pretty soon.